Are you ready to make a fast and lovely layout with our fantastic borders? So today I have these photos, and it's the parade at Universal Studios Orlando. So the papers I've chosen today for this layout is this nice cornflower blue-ish color. It came from Your Own Way. It's the one with the hexagons and the multicolors on the back, but I like this side. I think the stripes are meant to go horizontal, but I like them in the vertical. And so that's what I'm going to do. I pulled from Spring Equinox this paper that to me looks like the phases of the moon. And I plan to use both sides. On this side, I plan to make mats for my photos. And then I plan to make my border with the moon phase side. And the reason is the subject of the photos. And the final paper is this purple, which came from Totally Tonal, a collection that came out in 2023. And this is the purple ice. And in my opinion, Creative Memories does not put out enough rich, deep purple in their collections. And so I had to reach back a ways to find this. They're using more of the orchid color right now, which is like this color, and not the purple. And I want purple today because it's in my photos. So this layout is going to be fast and easy because that seems to be my speed. And let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to cut is this paper, and I want the dark side to be mats for my photos. And so I want to cut on this side of the paper. This is oriented really this way. I want the top side to put my photos onto because I think that'll help them stand out on that light blue paper here. And so I don't want the green and the yellows that are here at the bottom to show. I will use this side of the paper for this bottom. So the first thing I want to do, I need 5 3-inch by 4-inch mats. And so I'm going to cut 2 strips that are 3 inches. Okay, so I'm going to make my 5 mats with these. I'm setting this aside because this is what I'm going to use my custom border templates on. And now I'm going to cut I'm cutting through both layers, and I'm cutting it 4 inches. So I have 2, and 4 more. And I think because I have an extra one, if I decide I want a journal spot, one of these can be used as the journal spot. So I have my mats. So my photos are already 3 inches by 4 inches in size. And so I'm going to cut off 1/4 of an inch on all 5 of my photos. And that way they will fit well on my 3-inch by 4-inch mats. So now we have another half of this sheet remaining. It is 6 inches and the full 12 inches horizontally. And so I want to cut a frame for my layout, and I want it to be shaped like this at the top with the hump going in this direction. And I want a second one at the bottom where I want the hump going down. So the top going uh, pointing towards the top and the bottom kind of pointing towards the bottom. Now this template is the one called the arch. This is the arch template. So I'm moving my paper now to the far right because I like to use my template and cut in this direction. And I'm putting my paper up against the far line, the one I call 0, 0. Our templates come with little marker lines, and on the outer edge we have the one for R, G, and B, and on the inner line we have these 3 lines. Today I'm referencing this line, which is closest to the cutting groove right here, and I'm going to put this line on the 2-inch mark on my 13 by 13 inch mat. So I'm using this closest to the cutting groove line. Now I have my paper such that to my right is the top of the paper from my perspective. This paper doesn't show up and down very prominently, but on the back side I can tell this is the bottom end of my paper. So if you have a directional paper and what I'm trying to do is cut my top frame, and then I'm going to turn around and cut my bottom frame second. And I've placed that groove line on the 2-inch mark on the here, and it's on the 10-inch line from here at the bottom. And I'm using my red blade as always. And I am going to use a little bit of peel in place tape just to hold this steady. I use the peel in place tape often, and if you're careful with it, it doesn't tear your paper. You do have to be careful if you have a brand new, fresh off the roll piece, because you can use this over and over again. I sometimes will wipe it on my clothes to make it a little less sticky, but it'll still be sticky enough. And I usually start a little down and then go up and then down. And this is my top frame for my layout. And I want to do pretty much the same thing. So I'm going to just turn my paper around and repeat. So this is going to be my bottom frame. And I'm ready to cut the bottom frame. And what's left over is actually very cute. I probably can find some way to use this on a future layout. I do like that shape. So this is the dry fit of how our layout is going to come about. And as I'm looking at it, I'm really happy. I think matting the photos was just what it needed to stand out against the background. I love the design of this frame. And I think I want to ink the top and the bottom borders. So I'm choosing Danube Blue. This is a Memento ink that is available from Creative Memories, and I think that that's just right for this. But you know, I can always test it a little bit, and I probably should. So I encourage testing your inks if you're using them for the first time. And this piece of paper was left over from making the mats. And so I'm going to just ink a little bit of this. And yes, this is perfect. This is the perfect color. So I'm going to just ink. I'm only going to ink the top curved edge of my border. And actually, I'm going to put it down before I finish inking. And hopefully you can see right here that inking really does make a difference and helps to have more contrast between your designer papers. I really like the effect that inking has on the paper, but I will say keep a tissue handy because ink will get on your fingers and you don't want it to get on your layout. So I have a tissue to just wipe my fingers with. So I have the papers adhered and my photos sort of arranged, and I want to put a border down here on the bottom. So I'm going to use this called Rolling Motorbike, and I'm going to cut it in this dark purple ice. I like that color. It's in the photos, and I was getting quite monochromatic here. Not that I mind being monochromatic. Now, the Rolling Motorbike Border Maker Cartridge is one that stays attached. So I'm going to be experimenting to see how this is going to work on my page. So this is how the Rolling Motorbike looks when it's punched with the Border Maker cartridge. Now I have a couple of options. I can put it on my page by trimming it straight and just adhering it. I could also cut off the bicycles, which I've done a few times, and just put the bicycles on the page. So I'm going to give it a test and see which one I like better. So I like how my motorbikes turned out, but they do not stand out against this blue. And so having some white behind them will fix that right on up, and I like that look. But I don't want the straight line, so I'm pulling out this template. This one is the swell and the waves, and I think I'm going to use the waves side to cut the white paper and then have the motorbikes below them. So essentially, I'm turning this into a layered border that will have a white layer, then the purple layer on top. So I'm just going to make a waist cut, as we say, where the part we pull apart is kind of going in the recycle. And I'm just going to cut the shape of the waves out of this white paper. So now when I overlay the motorcycles on this white background, it looks so much better. And then when I layer that on top of my layout, now I'm getting a look that I really am happy with. So let me trim these down now. Let's see how we want to cut this. Now I'm going to cut the bicycles at 1 inch. So that's thin. And then I'm going to cut the waves at 1 1/4 of an inch. 1 1/4 for the waves. So I cut the white at 1 1/4, and I cut the purple bicycles at 1 inch, and they have turned out fine. If I had it to do over again, I'd probably cut this more at 1 3/8, just because a little corner of the motorbike is going off the white, but that doesn't really matter. The majority of it is on here. And this is basically our layout design here. I'm going to get the rest of it adhered and then figure out if we want to add a title or some other finishing touches. So here's our final layout. I got our rolling motorbikes on with its white background and the border using the Arch custom border template. And I just added a title of ET. And I found this bicycle sticker in the Wanderlust sticker collection. So I went, I've got to use this. There's no better place for me to use it than on this layout. And I made a notched banner, which is my go-to embellishment when I don't know what else to do. Plus, I just like it. And so overall, this layout is very simple, but I really like it, and I'm so happy to be getting it into my album. And also, I hope that you will like this video and subscribe to the channel, and YouTube will recommend another video that I hope you will also watch. Have a fine, scrappy day.